this morning, Metro Police are looking into yet another homicide. It happened on the southeast side on Harlan Street. This is just south of Fountain Square near Minnesota Street and Keystone. Police tell us this happened just after 1:30 this morning. A 31-year-old man was found dead in the front yard of a home.
The neighbors heard an argument going on outside at one point, and then they heard shots fired, and that's when they called the police.
Police say neighbors heard a car speed off after the shooting, but they did not get a description of the vehicle. The name of the shooting victim has not yet been released. Ball State University is facing criticism for leaving the name of Papa John's founder John Schnatter on a campus building. Now there's a petition being circulated calling for the removal of his name. We told you Friday that Ball State decided to leave John Schnatter's name on the building, formerly known as the Institute for Entrepreneurship and Free Enterprise. Schnatter is a Ball State graduate and left Papa John's under pressure after he used the N-word several times in a conference call. Ball State issued a statement claiming Schnatter did not use the N-word in a derogatory way, but as an example of improper conduct. More than 1,600 people have signed an online petition created by a Ball State alumnus asking the school to reconsider its decision. Last week, RTV6 told you these signs were going up in one northeast side neighborhood, and now they are here. It's a desperate effort by the Devonshire area to get people to stop cutting through their neighborhood and speed while they're there. 100 yellow signs now along parts of Brokenhurst Road and Graham Road near the area of 65th and Binford Boulevard. Those who live in the area say the signs will be up for at least the next 2 weeks while they look for a permanent solution to speeders.
We're looking at long-term solutions, things such as speed bumps or street modifications, sidewalks, things like that. But those are all long-term solutions that are going to take a while to get through the city process, get the neighbors to agree on things like that.
The Devonshire Civic Association will begin circulating a petition tomorrow to get speed bumps installed throughout the neighborhood. And as you head out this morning, we need you to slow down and be careful because it is the first day back to school for Indianapolis public schools, and there are several big changes this year for parents and students. One of those changes has to do with bus transportation. RTV6's Alyssa Donovan is live at the Western Bus Hub this morning. Alyssa, this is the first year for a new transportation system for IPS.
That's right, Meredith. The new two-tier system is expected to cut down on cost while using fewer buses. It's also going to cut down on commute time so kids don't have to be stuck on the bus for too long. Now, the changes impact about 20% of IPS schools. Essentially, schools fall under one of two tiers, either with a start time of 7:20 or 9:20 in the morning. The new system will also allow transportation of high school students to the school of their choice based on academic programming instead of where they live. This is also the first year IPS will only have 4 high schools. The district chose to close Broad Ripple High School last year and convert 2 other high schools into middle schools. Now, if you are curious, we do have a list of those schools with those changing start times on our website. Just go to theindychannel.com. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. And as the school year gets underway, gun safety took center stage for some parents and their children in Greenfield. A group of moms pushing to have metal detectors installed in all Greenfield Central schools helped sponsor a gun safety seminar. It was conducted by Highsmith Guns, the Greenfield gun dealer, trying to teach children what to do if they find an unsecured gun in a house. Between school shootings and accidental shootings happening because adults didn't properly secure their guns, the group of mothers hope seminars like these will make a difference.
They can get one from home. They can go to a friend's house who might find one that's not locked up that they thought was unloaded and in a closet and whatever. They can find them anywhere.
It's sad that kids these days think stuff like that and want to do stuff like that.
And you want it stopped?
Yes.
You don't want this to happen at your school?
No, because that'd be very terrifying.
Kids who went through the seminar got a card that says, "See a gun, don't touch, run and tell someone." It is 5:06, and if you missed this over the weekend, well, it is something else. Not many people are as brave as this 90-year-old woman from Columbus, and you have to see this to believe it. Yeah, remarkably, 90-year-old Faye Favish took a leap of faith skydiving with the crew from Skydive Indianapolis. She says this was on her bucket list. She jumped out of the plane at 13,000 feet and had an exhilarating ride to the ground. Faye told her son, "I don't want a birthday party. I want to go skydiving." So what did she think of it?
How was it, lady?
It was marvelous.
So you enjoyed yourself?
I can't hear much of anything, but other than that, it was beautiful.
Skydive Indianapolis says Faye inspired their crew of skydivers. She has proved age is nothing but a number. What a brave woman. And look at those blue skies that she had for that dives, Todd.
Yeah, congratulations to her. Happy birthday. I don't know if I could do that, but more power to her, and cheers to your 90th year here. All right, bus stop forecast this morning. Everybody's heading back to school here, at least IPS. 74 degrees at the bus stop this morning, and mainly clear sky. We'll work a little bit of cloud cover in, I think, at times throughout the morning hours, but we should remain dry. Okay, later on today, maybe you're heading to the State Fair after a nice warm weekend, but mainly dry weekend. Today we'll bring in just some spot rain chances late in the day, but for the most part today, if you're heading to the fair, you're contending with the heat and humidity once again, as our high will get up to 91 degrees. So as the kids come home from school, if they're heading to the fair, it'll cool off a little bit this evening, and the good news is it's still dry as we get into the 8 o'clock hour. Tomorrow's our trouble day, though, this week, with numerous showers and storms coming through as a cold front passes. We'll talk about those storm chances coming up here in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Next on Good Morning Indiana, it's moving once again. We'll show you how your morning commute will hopefully be a whole lot easier through downtown and the northwest side. And we say a final goodbye to Mrs. Garrett. She was the woman who brought life to one of the best TV characters of the 1980s. We'll take a look back at her life coming up. Elena.
And here's a look at I-74 at Ronald Reagan Parkway. This is over on that west side. Those roads are dry for your morning commute, looking pretty empty as well. Should be a pretty easy one as you are making your way to work this morning. Time now is 5:09. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us.
Weeknights at 11.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 5:12. Here's a look at I-70 at Holt Road. You can see those roads are dry for your morning commute. Stay tuned. I'll have your latest traffic update coming up in just a few minutes.
Elena, thank you. Finally, you can once again drive across all of I-65 downtown and on the northwest side. It actually opened over the weekend, but we know you may be driving on it for the first time heading into the morning rush hour. Late Friday is when INDOT officially reopened the northbound lanes between Meridian and 21st Street. The southbound lanes opened around 5:30 Friday afternoon. The reopening came 2 days earlier than INDOT's original date for its bridge replacement project to be completed. This morning, Venezuela's government says 6 people have been arrested after Saturday's apparent assassination attempt of the country's president on live TV. President Nicolas Maduro survived that assault that happened during a speech at a military parade on Saturday. Several drones armed with explosives flew toward Maduro while he was on stage. Venezuela's authoritarian government says those arrested are accused of terrorism and assassination. The government in Indonesia now says at least 91 people have been killed in a massive earthquake in that country. That number is expected to grow as rescuers still haven't reached some areas that were impacted. The Sunday quake measured 7.0. It was centered near the tourist island of Lombok. That's the same area that was hit by another earthquake just more than a week ago that left 16 people dead. Ohio State University says its investigation of head football coach Urban Meyer is expected to be finished in 2 weeks. Meyer is on paid administrative leave while a team of investigators look into if he was aware of 2015 domestic violence allegations against former assistant coach Zach Smith, who was fired in July. Meyer has acknowledged knowing about a 2009 incident involving Smith and his then-wife Courtney, but he initially said he did not know about the alleged 2015 incident. Changed last week when Courtney Smith came forward with text messages in which she told Meyer's wife about the abuse 3 years ago. You may not have noticed if you watched the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction over the weekend, but new Hall of Famer Randy Moss made a statement that was somewhat hidden under his new Hall of Fame sport coat. The wide receiver wore a tie that featured the names of several African Americans who had been killed either by police officers or under suspicious circumstances.
What I wanted to be able to express with my ties to let these families know that they're not alone. You know, I'm not here, voicing But by these names on my tie, at a big platform as the Pro Football Hall of Fame, there's a lot of stuff going on in our country. And I just want to let these family members know that they're not alone.
The names on Moss's tie include Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, Freddie Gray, Walter Scott, and Trayvon Martin. Singer Demi Lovato is talking publicly about her apparent overdose for the first time. Lovato posted this message to Instagram on Sunday. She says she thanks God, family, hospital staff, and fans for love and support. Lovato was taken to a hospital for a possible drug overdose back on July 24th. She's been open about her struggles with substance abuse and mental illness. Lovato recently celebrated 6 years of sobriety before revealing a drug relapse in June in a new song. In her most recent statement, she said, "I will keep fighting."
Yes, they went out and bought pizza and beans.
Went out and bought?
Yes, sir. The only one who ever walked out on my cooking was my ex-husband, and that was only because I tried to poison him.
That woman with the flaming hair was immediately recognizable if you were a TV fan in the 1980s. Charlotte Rae had a long and distinguished career starting on the Broadway stage and early TV in the 1950s. But the late 1970s is when she would become a star as Mrs. Garrett. First on Different Strokes, then on a spin-off series whose theme song is going to be stuck in your head for the rest of the day.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. There's a time.
Charlotte Rae would help Blair, Tootie, Natalie, and Joe navigate The Facts of Life for its first 7 seasons. She was nominated for an Emmy for her role as Mrs. Garrett. It was a role that struck a chord for millions of people and one that endured long after the show's end.
A lot of grown-ups were saying that they were latchkey kids. And they really related to Mrs. Garrett. She was who they really hung on to and clung to and loved. They were the mother that they wished that they had had.
Charlotte Rae survived pancreatic cancer in the 1980s, but she was diagnosed with bone cancer last year. Her family says she died Sunday at her home in California. She was 92 years old. It is 5:17 right now. Todd, take a look at that behind you. That is hard to believe.
You know, it really is, Meredith, and we're probably going to add another day to this later on this afternoon, making it 27 90-degree days so far this year. On average, it's usually around 18, so we're running well above normal as far as the heat goes here this summer. I know we had that little reprieve there at the end of July with some cooler temperatures, but we're right back into this summer-like pattern now for the remainder of the week. 72 in Indy right now, 75 is the current temperature in Muncie, and everybody's in the 70s here this morning no matter where you are, and everybody is going to warm very quickly throughout the course of the morning once the sun comes up. In fact, by the time we get to the noon hour, we're already pushing the upper 80s, maybe close to 90 degrees in some locations. Then we should level off right around 90, 91 throughout the afternoon. And then throughout the evening hours, we'll start to cool things off just a little bit. But it's also this evening that will start to bring in the chance of maybe a few thunderstorms in the forecast. So there's some clouds spilling into the area this morning across the area. No rain, though. Your morning commute is just fine. In fact, most of your day is just fine here with lots of sunshine. The storms are initially going to hang up to our north near Chicago. They're basically moving right across Lake Michigan into lower Michigan. But eventually that cold front will start to drop to the south, and that will start to increase our rain chances later on this evening. For most of us, it is after sunset that we'll have to turn our attention to the skies and the potential for a few of these storms. So for through 3 o'clock, we're just fine. Maybe a stray isolated storm will flare up anywhere after 3 o'clock, but you notice how spotty they are. The line of storms, though, here it comes. This is later on this evening after 9 o'clock, so it's after sunset now. And some of these storms could be strong to severe there in northern locations as they start to make their way into the area. And so anytime after 9 o'clock, especially in those northern locales, just be aware for the potential of some storms arriving with temperatures in the 80s, and a few of those storms in northern locales could be strong to severe. So the slight risk is from Lafayette to Fort Wayne and points to the north. The green is a marginal risk, a little better chance to the north of some of those storms being strong, with wind being the main threat. The reason why to the north there's a slight risk those storms arrive while the sun is still up, so they're probably going to be a little bit stronger. Once the sun sets, these storms will come through with maybe some gusts gusty winds and a little bit of lightning, but they should be in a weakening state as they make their way through the metro area. And then throughout the overnight hours, a few showers will linger. And then tomorrow's just kind of an unsettled day for us, with numerous showers and storms off and on throughout the day, but plenty of dry hours mixed in. It's that transitional day for us as the cold front makes its way through the area. Some showers could linger into Wednesday morning, and then it looks like Thursday is going to be the best weather day of the week, with lots of sunshine and seasonable temperatures, Elena, in the mid-80s.
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at Keystone Avenue. This is up on that north side, and the great news, those roads are dry for your morning commute. I want to take a look at the map, though. A couple things to point out to you. We have some overnight construction that has left southbound I-69 down to one lane only between 96th Street and I-465. This will continue until about 7 o'clock this morning. So as you are making your way to work, pay attention to that. And we also have the eastbound I-465 ramp to I-69 closed, and that should continue again until about 7 o'clock this morning. So pay attention to that. You might just want to get off at that Allisonville Road exit, take Allisonville Road to 82nd Street, and use 82nd Street to reach I-69 this morning while this closure is underway. But let's take a look at those roads one more time. Here's a look at I-65 at Keystone Avenue, this time down on the south side. Again, dry roads for your morning commute. Couldn't ask for an easier commute this morning.
Elena, thank you. It's over for another year. Gen Con wrapped up the best 4 days in gaming on Sunday. The convention now takes over not only the Indiana Convention Center, but also Lucas Oil Stadium. Gen Con will have final attendance numbers out later, but it always brings tens of thousands of people to Indy as the state's largest convention each year. And don't forget, Gen Con 2019 is already on the calendar for August 1st through the 4th of 2019. Next on Good Morning Indiana, a rare find and one happy collector. We'll show you how a man's $500 bet will likely make him a whole lot more money. And coming up at 5:30, the road to recovery begins for a beloved coach. What lies ahead as the school year begins? And this man tries to make a comeback from a devastating accident. Elena.
And here's a look at I-465 at Keystone Avenue. Up on that north side, those roads are dry for your morning commute. Makes for a pretty easy one. Time now, 5:22. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us.
Chris Roth hit the jackpot this weekend with this. 63 years after it went into a pack of Bowman bubblegum, this near mint condition Mickey Mantle baseball card turned up in a pack that was opened for the first time. Roth put down $500 to nab a chance to open the pack and get the card at the National Sports Collectors Convention in Cleveland. The 1955 card is believed to be worth at least, wait for it, $50,000, but Roth says he already owns several vintage Mantle cards, so he hopes to sell this one and buy a rookie card from Hall of Famer Roberto Clemente. What would you do if you opened that? I mean, in a room full of sports collectors.
Right? I know, and then try to just keep it pristine. And,
right.
Yeah, no, I didn't get it and just try to walk out, I guess, and not tell everybody.
Bummer.
Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing, though. It's like, you know, I got all my baseball cards just sitting in a closet back home, and Mom's like, should I just get rid of them? I'm like, no, you never know what's going to end up being in there.
Yeah, you might have to go through those soon.
Exactly. All right, outside right now, we're dealing with quiet conditions, temperatures in the 70s. Radar is quiet, and radar will be quiet through most of the day. It's not till this evening that we bring in the chance of some storms. Highs in the upper 80s to the north, low 90s, though, once again from Indianapolis to the south.
Todd, thank you. Coming up in the next half hour, gunfire on the southeast side. We'll show you the scene of the city's latest homicide and tell you what we know about it so far. And his name has been removed at other schools, but it's still prominent at his alma mater. Now, some other graduates of Ball State University are challenging the school to take action.
This premieres tomorrow on ABC. From the only station working for you, this is RTV6 Good Morning Indiana.
Overnight, a deadly shooting on the southeast side. Police finding a man shot and killed in a front yard. The tips already coming in from witnesses as police work to track down a suspect. Plus, another string of car break-ins and thefts in Johnson County. What the thieves are getting away with and the safety reminders police are urging all residents to listen to. And grab that backpack and don't forget your lunch. IPS students, just some of the many Central Indiana's kids heading back to school today. the changes the district is making this year. Good Monday morning, and thanks for joining us here on Good Morning Indiana. We want to make sure that first day back is as smooth as possible. Our Elena Martella has a traffic update in just a minute. But first, the most important thing, Todd, what do we need to wear for our first day of school?
Yeah, you know, shorts and t-shirts, probably all you need. Definitely the warm weather clothes can be left at home. You need the cool weather clothes because temperatures once again today will be climbing up into the 90s. Sunscreen and sunglasses before you walk out the door here this morning. You don't need the jacket, obviously, with temperatures where they are right now, and the umbrella. You don't need that during the school day. If you're going to be out late this evening, though, you may want to have the umbrella. More on that coming up. We're in the 70s in almost all locations, except a few 60s out there right now from Mooresville down towards Bedford, 70 in Rushville. Muncie, you're at 75 degrees. So just a little bit of cloud cover to the north. We should burn that off pretty quickly throughout the course of the morning once the sun comes up. These storms to our north, they hang to our north until this evening. That's when they'll start to drop down to the south. So as we work our way at least through the daytime hours, we warm nice and quickly already into the mid to upper 80s by the time we get to the noon hour. And then as we push into the afternoon, our high should get up to about 91 degrees, back down into the upper 80s by 4 p.m. But that 91 degree high is going to feel more like 95 to 98 degrees today, Elena, when you factor in the humidity.
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at West 86th Street. This is up on that northwest side, and you can see those roads are dry for your morning commute, which is great news. Let's take a look at the map. I do want to point out a couple of overnight construction spots. So one lane only southbound I-69 between 96th Street and I-465. So pay attention to this, especially as the morning continues, because even though it is one lane still open, we all know this is a highly traveled area, so traffic probably will get heavy and fast. We also have the eastbound I-465 ramp to I-69 closed. Again, this will continue until about 7 o'clock this morning for some overnight construction. What you might want to do, take that Allisonville Road exit, head southbound to 82nd Street, and use 82nd Street to utilize I-69 this morning while this closure is underway. But let's take a look at those roads one more time. I-465 at Brookville Road down on the southeast side. Dry roads for your morning commute. Makes for a pretty easy one. Just pay attention to those overnight construction spots.
Elena, thank you. Breaking news from the southeast side. Metro Police are investigating another deadly shooting. A 31-year-old man was found shot and killed outside a home on Harlan Street, that's near Minnesota and Keystone, just south of Fountain Square. Officers were called to the scene just after 1:30 this morning and found the victim in a front yard. Neighbors told police they heard arguing around that time.
The neighbors heard an argument going on outside at one point, and then they heard shots fired, and that's when they called the police.
Investigators are still working to gather information about a suspect in this shooting. A renewed warning from Johnson County law enforcement this morning. Make sure your cars are locked because a string of car break-ins are only continuing. And now police think multiple groups are behind all the break-ins. This is surveillance video from one of the most recent crimes. A suspect taking $900 worth of gift cards from an unlocked car. And in some cases, the thieves are taking off with the cars themselves. This year, the Johnson County Sheriff says they've taken reports of nearly 50 car thefts. They're now asking all residents to take precautions, make sure your cars are locked, don't leave valuables inside, and if you can, use a garage if possible. It is the first day back to school for Indianapolis Public Schools, and there are several big changes this year for parents and students. RTV6's Alyssa Donovan is live at the Western Bus Hub this morning. Alyssa, this is the first year for a new transportation system for IPS.
That's right, Meredith. And we're here at the Western Hub, as you said, and things are actually starting to get kicked off. We're seeing bus drivers arrive. We're seeing those buses get turned on, assuming they're getting checked right now. And this is, as you said, the new two-tier system starting this year. It'll allow the district to use fewer buses while saving money. It's also expected to ensure commute times are not too long for students. With the new system, schools fall under one of two tiers, either with a start time of 7:20 or 9:20 in the morning. The new start times impact about 20% of IPS schools. And the change will also allow transportation of high school students across the city to schools of their choice based on academic programming instead of where they live. This is also the first year IPS will only have 4 high schools. The district chose to close Broad Ripple High School last year and convert 2 other high schools into middle schools. Now, these buses are expected to take off right around 5:45 this morning. And if you do need a list of those schools that have those changing start times, we do have that list on our website. Just go to theindychannel.com. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6 News.
Alyssa, thank you. A Ball State alumni gathering support online to remove the name of the embattled Papa John's founder from the school. A Change.org petition has close to 2,000 signatures this morning calling for the school to take John Schnatter's name off a campus building. Ball State announced last week Schnatter's name would stay despite the racial slur he used on a conference call. The petition argues with Ball State celebrating 100 years, it needs to be a place where everyone feels welcome, and Schnatter's name needs to go. A different reaction from another Indiana school, Purdue, announcing last week they would be cutting ties with the former pizza CEO. The Board of Trustees decided to remove his name from the John H. Schnatter Center for Economic Research. Purdue officials say they've offered to return Schnatter's $8 million donation that came along with the building's naming. An update to a story we've been following since last week. The new Carmel Girls High School basketball coach recovering at St. Vincent after a serious injury while on vacation. Over the weekend, Kevin Sweeney's family posting an update to his GoFundMe page. He was medically evacuated after breaking 3 vertebrae when he was hit by a wave in the Dominican. He got back Friday morning, but his wife and kids just arrived back in the U.S. over the weekend. Sweeney will now have to have surgery that's expected to happen today and tomorrow. The first weekend of the Indiana State Fair is in the books, but there's still plenty of fun in store this week. Today is Military Day at the fairgrounds, so anyone with a military ID and their families will get in for free. The Horse and Pony Show as well as the Goat and Cat shows get underway today, and Anthony Hamilton will perform on the free stage at 7:30 tonight. And talk about a brain freeze at the State Fair. Joey Chestnut trading in hot dogs for ice cream, looking for another champion eater title. The competition gave competitors 6 minutes to down as many pints of ice cream as they could in that time frame. In the end, Chestnut came in second place, finishing off 14.5 pints. Jeffrey Esper took home the win with 15.5, but that still wasn't enough for the world record. Mickey Sudo still holds that after her win last year with 16.5 pints. This is the second year that the competition has been held at the fair and sanctioned by the Major League of Eating. And Todd, I'm guessing that was quite a mess with how hot it was this weekend.
You'd have to eat it fast yesterday, right? Or otherwise it would melt very, very quickly. And today is very similar to yesterday in the sense that we'll have the heat, we'll have the humidity, and temperatures climbing up into the 90s. As far as rain chances, you notice today I do have slight rain chances in there. That's mainly late tonight and into the overnight hours. Most of the daytime hours today dry. Tomorrow, moderate to maybe even high threat of rain as a front comes through. And then Wednesday into Thursday, we'll start to decrease the rain chances. So no days a washout, but as far as the rain goes for today, it's lingering up to the north, and this is where it stays through a good chunk of the day today. It's not again until probably closer to sunset that we start to see those showers make their way into northern portions. So by all means, head to the State Fair. It's going to be a warm one. Temperatures climbing up to 90 degrees here this afternoon. Then after 8 p.m., that's when we'll start to track the rain through central Indiana. We'll do that using TrueCast for you coming up here in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Still ahead, a new tweet from President Trump bringing back up that 26 meeting between his campaign and a Russian lawyer. What the president is now saying about the purpose of that meeting. Lots of cheering, some dancing, and of course a lot of basketball at Victor Oladipo's kids camp this weekend. What the NBA All-Star says about being able to give back to these young players coming up next. Elena.
And here's a look at I-465 at West 86th Street up on that northwest side. Those roads are dry for your morning commute. Don't forget you can listen to this hour of Good Morning Indiana on your way to work or school on the radio at 93 WIBC. Time now 5:39. You're watching or listening to RTV6.
If it works as hard as you do,
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now 5:43. Here's a look at I-465 at West 10th Street. You can see more people are making their way right now and those roads are dry. Stay tuned. I'll have your latest traffic update coming up in just a few minutes.
Elena, thank you. President Trump is saying that a June 2016 meeting in Trump Tower between campaign aides, his son, and a Russian lawyer was designed to, quote, get information on an opponent. In a tweet on Sunday, the president insisted that the meeting was totally legal, even though it is a key point in the investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller. The focus of that investigation is trying to determine if the Trump campaign conspired with Russians to undermine Hillary Clinton's campaign. In July of 2017, Donald Trump Jr. issued a statement that the meeting was primarily about the adoption of Russian children. Person after person linking arms and forming human chains, all in an effort to rescue swimmers swept out by strong currents and high waves on Lake Michigan. Officials in Grand Haven, Michigan, declaring a red flag warning and asking people to stay out of the water yesterday afternoon, especially after some of those water rescues turned deadly. 2 people died despite efforts by bystanders and rescue teams. Swimmers at the beach say you could feel those currents as soon as you got in the water.
When you go underneath the waves themselves, you could definitely feel them not only pull on you, but pull you, out towards the lake.
Other people were injured at Lake Michigan on Sunday. Some of those injured were teens who were pulled to safety by the human chains. Dozens of Black Lives Matter protesters marching through the streets of Florida demanding justice in the latest case where the state's controversial stand your ground law was used to justify a deadly shooting. Marchers started at the site of a press conference held by the family of Marquise McLaughlin, who was shot and killed outside of a convenience store. Civil rights activist Al Sharpton was there with McLaughlin's family. The march then went through the streets of Clearwater to the parking lot where the shooting happened. The suspect claimed self-defense covered under the Stand Your Ground law. The sheriff's office declined to press charges, but the case is still under review by the state's attorney office. Federal aid now on the way to California, where at least 3 major wildfires are still burning. Residents are just starting to head back to their homes after being evacuated for the Carr Fire in northern part of the state. That fire responsible for the deaths of at least 7 people and destroying more than 1,000 homes.